away from the Bible. We want to do some business. Of course, if you're a Christian, your business is guided by the Word of God, and you ought to live the principles that is enshrined in the Bible. So, fostering the culture of excellence in business. I want to share just two examples or two experiences that I have had, the good and the bad. Of course, I'll talk about the good ones first, and I want to mention my hospital, the Ashoban Community Hospital. I know they have quite a number of branches, but my branch or my hospital is the Ashoban Community Hospital, where for about 12 years now, my family has been attending. A hospital that runs its operations like a business. These days we see hospitals as okay, they are there to provide healthcare, and so you are sick, you go, and that is it. They give you medication, and that is it. But the Sherman Community Hospital gave me an experience that I always talk about when it comes to excellence. You walk to a hospital, an ambience that is welcoming, um, medical staff that are welcoming, and you are treated and you go, and about 3 or 4 days later, they will call to check on you whether you're feeling better. Yes. And they would ask whether you have any side effects with your medication, whether you're seeing improvement, and they will tell you if you see A, B, C, D, quickly call back or quickly come to the hospital and you'll be attended to. I'm sure that is an experience we are all looking forward to when it comes to healthcare, isn't it? And the shocking part of it is that anytime it's our birthday, so myself, my husband, and my 2 kids, we all attended. Anytime it's our birthday, they will call to wish us happy birthday. I'm sure when they charge you $100, you still pay and go, right? So that is a beautiful experience, and I believe that they were deliberate about certain things. The reason they will keep records of your birthday, the reason they know that you've been through their doors in the hospital, and they would even call to check whether you have any side effects. The second experience I want to share is from my company, of course, definitely, from the HR Certification Center. We have a tagline that helps us shape our operations every day. The tagline simply reads, commit to a higher standard. Every day of our lives, there must be a standard that is higher. If it's not higher, we are not doing it. And we believe that if it must be done, then it must be done well. So the end result of we being deliberate about that tagline is that we have over 50% of our business clients come through recommendation. So let's say Kwesi will buy from us, and because of the experience we've given to Kwesi, Kwesi will tell Amma, and Amma will tell people, and that is how we build our business. Technically, what it means is that 50% of our marketing budget is saved because we have given the customer that excellent experience. Now, for the experiences that are bad, I'm not going to mention them. Of course, we are building brands, and so I'm not going to mention the name. But let's take a company such as ABC Company, where I walk through the door of that company, and there's a desk attendant who is busy on her phone and will not lift her head to even look at my face. Then I walk close to the desk, and then she stops to look at me this way, expecting that Pearl will greet her good morning. Of course not. And right there, being the business manager that I am, I'll do my customer service lectures instantly. But of course, if you are in a business, whether yours or working for somebody, you are there for a reason. The reason at the end of the month you receive a paycheck, isn't it? So I expect that customer service person or the front desk person to raise her head, welcome me, and say good morning, and not expect that I should be the one to say good morning. I believe with this short intro, we are learning something. All right. So the next company, of course, still not a pleasant one, where you walk to a manager's office and they are busy chatting, and you are there wondering whether somebody recognizes that there's a human being in the office or in their space. All right. So let's talk quickly about what the culture of excellence is. What is the definition of the culture of excellence? And I'll take that from the definition of culture. I'm sure that in our secondary school levels or in our JHS level, we were taught that culture is a way of life, how we do things, how we live, how we dress, and all of that. But in business, culture is simple. Culture simply means the way the customer wants us to do things. It's as simple as that. The culture of a business or the culture of whatever business you're running is not your logo, it's not your color, it's not the niceness of your building, it's not the niceness of your environment and all of that. Culture simply means the way the customer wants us to do things here. So, for example, if let's say a Niger restaurant is our business, and maybe by the standards of the founders or the business owners, they want to open a Niger restaurant at 9 a.m. That's what they set out to do. Every now and then, we see the customer walking at 7. Oh, sorry, we are not open. Another time, the customer walks in at 7. Sorry, we are not open. 7:15, the customer comes. Sorry, we are not open. The customer is telling us something. We are not opening at 9 because we want to serve ourselves. We are opening at 9 because we want to serve the customer. So if constantly customers are telling us that we are hungry or we want breakfast at 7 a.m., a Nigerian restaurant would have to take that review, even though it's not spoken. You take that review, go back to it, and review whatever policies you've set out for yourself. So how the customer wants us to do things is our culture. Now, what is the culture of excellence? An environment where individuals or teams consistently strive for the highest standard. Now, there is a catchword there, consistently, and striving for higher standards. Excellence is not a one-off project. It doesn't happen like that. You cannot set out in a month and expect that you will achieve that excellence that you're looking forward to. So consistently, you have to be aiming at something. Consistently, you have to be working at something. Then at the end of the day, you can come back and measure whether you have exceeded or you have achieved the culture of excellence. Now, a culture of excellence sets the stage for sustained success and growth while upholding values that are essential for a reputable business. Now, let's look at the characteristics of a culture of excellence. How are we able to tell that an individual or a team or a company has a culture or have a culture of excellence? The first of all is that that company, that individual or that team should be committed to quality and continuous improvement. So I'm sure that I haven't been to the hospital in a while, but I'm sure that when I walk through the doors of Ashoman Community Hospital now, something possibly is new because consistently they are working towards a higher standard. So those are or that's one of the characteristics of a company or an individual that is striving for excellence. Secondly, that company, that individual must have a clear vision and goal. Now, I notice that we are young here, so I don't want to believe or I shouldn't assume that we have businesses spanning 10 years or 5 years. But of course, you could start something which is a week old, a month old. Now, the trend is that most of us have businesses online. We're doing online businesses. Some people are selling jewelry, some are selling cosmetics, some are selling dresses and everything online. No matter how small that business is, you must have a clear vision and a goal. Your vision may not be definite today because you're just starting, but be definite that you're going somewhere. So at the end of the day, what are you looking forward to? Maybe you want to start an online thrift store, what we call Fools in Ghana. And your goal will be that someday you want to own a boutique. You want to own a boutique maybe in Accra or in Kumasi, or you still want to operate an online shop, but with branches everywhere where people can just log on online and order a dress and it will be delivered. Have a clear vision where you want to go and be committed to that goal, because once there is no vision, you are just working in circles. You don't know where you are going, you don't know when you will arrive, and you don't know how you will arrive. So you need to have a clear vision so that you have, let me say, strategies or goals that will tell you that, okay, in the next 6 months, this is what I want to do. And it is 6 months, Let me measure to see if I have arrived, if I've achieved something. And if you are not there, then you want to look at or review your strategies to see how you are getting there. The next characteristics is empowerment and accountability. How are you accountable to yourself? Thankfully, I want to believe that we are all Christians. The Bible gives us a clear strategy on how we should be accountable. What are you doing as a business owner that you shouldn't do? Legally, what are you doing that you shouldn't do? Are you falling in line with what the Bible says? Or are you falling in line with what the laws of the land says? And the last characteristics I want us to look at is to have open communication and collaboration. I know collaboration is a word we don't want to hear in Ghana because we believe that people are there to steal our ideas. And of course, nipa nye, that's how they say it. I mean, people are no longer nice. And so once you tell your neighbor or your friend your idea, the next minute they are implementing it. But we cannot work in a vacuum. We need to build viable collaborations so that we can strive for that higher standard. Maybe you have the digital marketing knowledge that you think that once I get onto the online business, I will thrive. Somebody has that operations, the project management skills, somebody has that business administration skill that you need to partner with. First of all, when you are collaborating, have grounds for the collaboration. Don't just go in a vacuum. So if you bring your ideas, I bring my ideas, and we're able to make a sale, what percentage are we giving to each other and what percentage are we retaining so we are able to grow the business? You need to have all of that for your collaboration and be sure that you have open communication. Everybody working in your team must be clear and, let me say, on top of their head where the business is going. Don't be the business owner that would only give instructions and not explain where the business is going. Now, one thing that has worked for us as the HR Certification Center is that we make time to talk. We talk about anything and everything. So the first Mondays of every month, we are having meetings, and that meeting is to discuss the business. We don't hide anything from anybody because we believe that when all employees are on the same page, they know how much is coming into the business, and there's that transparency. They give off their best. We don't want a situation where Amma feels that, oh, the company is making so much, but they are not paying me so much. Amma will not be working because she feels cheated. But when we tell you that this is how much the business is making, this is how much we are retaining for future projects and the growth of the business, and this is how much we have to share, then we are all on that page for transparency and we have that open communication. One thing that works for us also is that we thrive on ideas. Ideas is a big thing for us at the HR Certification Center, and we don't belittle any idea. We feel that no idea is foolish. It may not be relevant at this time, but in the future, somebody will pick that idea, build on it, and then we are able to run with it. So those are the characteristics of a business or an individual who has a culture of excellence. Now the big question will be that how do we cultivate a culture of excellence? All the things I'm talking about, how do we do it? The first one, again, is to have that clear vision and value. What are your values? How many of us are working? Let me put somebody on the spot. How many of us are working? You hear sport, no, you don't want to raise your hand again. Okay. All right. So I'm sure that we all have corporate values, what we call core values in our businesses. Do you mind telling us one of your core values as a business? You've forgotten. That's a candid truth. Yes, my lady. One of the core values of your organization. Transparency. Okay. Because I don't know your business, I'm unable to tell whether it is true or not. But what core values does to us is that it pushes us, and it's like a pivot around which everybody revolves. So at the HR Certification Center, we have 5 core values, acronym LIPAC. And so anytime there is something going wrong in the organization, we come back and say, which of our core values are we not working with? So let's say somebody constantly is complaining that this is not working, this is not working. Then when we hold the meeting, we ask, which of the core values are we not working with? Because all our core values are there so that we can foster that culture of excellence. You need to live your values. Away from the business, as individuals, what values do we have? We grow up in a system where we are just going. We are just going every day, 24 hours, we are just going. Every week, we are just going. Every month, we are just going. We are not building ourselves around core values. We don't even know where we are going, such that when people violate us, we are unable to tell. As an individual, you need to have that clear value that as for Pearl, this one I won't do. Whether you put a knife to my throat or not, I won't do. As a business, if you believe that transparency is one of your core values, then there is no way you would hide information from your employees. There is no way the customer would demand an information and you are struggling to give it. All right. I know a lot of us would have core values such as integrity. What does integrity mean to you as an employee and as a business? As for those of us who are doing our small businesses, our personal values in a way will transcend our corporate values. Who we are is what we send to the business. And so if you're an individual that you don't believe in integrity, your business dealings will be seen not being a business of integrity. Are we on the same page? So your clear vision and values should be one. And establish a strong vision and set your core values that guide employees in their actions. So that, I mean, if you walk to my office and say, okay, he has done this, I said, okay, bring out the core values. Which ones have you violated? And why must we not violate it? You will judge yourself, and I'll ask you to recommend your own punishment. Good? All right, so the second way to cultivate the culture of excellence is set high standards and expectations. And this standard must not be just standards words, but it must be written down. If you're working in a business, I'm sure that your supervisor will give you a standard that you must abide by. Immediately you walk through the doors of the business, they will do orientation for you, they will do onboarding. They will tell you that A, B, C, D is not accepted here. This is how we do our things. This is how we want our things. And as employees, we must live by that one. Your expectations as an individual must be clear, and it should be an expectation that will not lead you to depression. I mean, these days, especially the banks, if you're a bank here, please forgive me. The banks are setting unrealistic targets, unrealistic expectations for their employees, and it drives them to do all sorts of things. I think sometime last year, somebody walked to my office and said, I should open an account. And I said, I have no reason to leave my bank because they are serving me well. And she says, Madam, if you don't open the account this month, I'm sure I'll be sacked. And I said, what is it? The target they have given that lady is unrealistic. And you know what she's doing? She will just get you to open the account, whether you put money in it or not. Because the bank says, open about 50 accounts in a month. And so you're pushing that person to do things that are against her will. But they are doing it because they want to keep their jobs. Let's set targets, let's set expectations, but let them be realistic because we are working with humans and we are humans, and there is something called stress and depression. Even as individuals, for those of us who are in the university, I mean, we have so much unrealistic expectations of ourselves. Huh? You look at somebody and you think that the person is doing A, B, C, the person is achieving X, Y, Z, and so I must be like that person. Who are you? Where are you going? So that will help you define how you get there. Kwesi may be going somewhere. That is not the place you're going. All right? So for you to build that culture of excellence, set realistic expectations for yourself and be sure that you mark yourself according to the expectations you have set. Don't live the unexamined life. Don't live the unexamined life. As individuals, every now and then, let's come back to the drawing board. Let's come back to that diary that we have. Don't just write your resolutions beginning of the year and leave them. Then at the end of the year, you go and then you raise your hand and say, Lord, this is how far you have brought me. The how far no is how far. Have you been able to examine yourself to know that I have done A, B, C, D, so I'm left to do X, Y, Z. Let's not leave the unexamined life, right? How to cultivate the culture of excellence. Point number 3, commit yourself to continuous learning and development. The more you know, the more you are able to do. The less you know, the less you do. So every day of our lives, let's commit to that learning. It's very critical and important. Now, there is vast, or let me say, loads of information on the internet. I mean, we are living in the age of information overload everywhere. Just take your phone, go to Google and type something. I'm sure you would have about 3,000 and over searches on just one topic. There's loads of information. And in that loads of information, there's so much we can learn every day. What I do is that every night before I go to bed, I try to limit myself to 1 hour away from the screen. But whilst I'm in bed and the sleep is not coming, I just take my LinkedIn Learning app and then I study something. Sometimes in the middle of it, I doze off, and that is it. But these days, I try to sit by the table so that I don't just, sleep with the screen. Medical doctors will say that it's not too good for you to have the screen before you sleep. Sometimes some 30 minutes or 1 hour is okay for you. But almost every time, once sleep is not coming, I try to go to my LinkedIn app to learn something. I don't know what your learning plans are, what your learning goals are, but as individuals, as employees, every day of your life, learn something new. Learning is not only limited to the classroom. If you want to be a person of excellence, if you want to be a team member of excellence, if you want to be an employee of excellence, commit to that continuous learning. Don't be, there's a word they use, an ignoramus. Is that the word? Yes, don't be ignorant about everything. There's a saying that we say that you are jack of all trade, master of none. But these days, I try to tweak it a little and I say, be jack of all trade, but be master of some. Be master of some. Don't say that for me, I'm in operations, so all I desire to know is operations. Desire to know something about marketing, desire to know something about business administration, desire to even know something about the CEO's role, because you're building yourself for the future. I'm sure my time is up. Okay, right. So let me jump to, for you to build the culture of excellence as a business, you must be customer focused. Your focus should be on the customer. This one I'm speaking to the company. Your focus must be on the customer. We spend most of our times thinking about competition. What is my competitor doing? I'm an online business. The one selling the same thing online, what is she doing? You are not focusing on the customer. It's the customer who would come and buy from you, not your competitor. You may copy all that your competitor is doing, but do you understand it? Is that what your customers want? My auntie will tell you that when you go to Agbogloshi, you have all about 10 tomato sellers on the same lane. All right, they are all selling tomatoes. But there's somebody you would walk to because the person is focused on you. The person caught your attention is the reason you will go to that person. So be focused on the customer. I mentioned that culture is how the customer wants us to do things here. All right, so talking about the culture of excellence, what are the benefits we get if we build that culture of excellence or when we foster that culture of excellence? One, we have improved productivity and efficiency. Two, we have enhanced employee engagement and satisfaction. Three, customer satisfaction and loyalty. And then lastly, you become an employer of choice. I'm sure that if I ask how many of us want to work with MTN, how many of us want to work with Google, how many of us want to work with Amazon, how many of us want to work with ECG? Am I communicating something? When you foster the culture of excellence, people naturally want to work with you. All right. I'm sure the experience with ECG is not a good one, but we must say it because it's our money that is paying them. When you walk to ECG, it's a different ballgame altogether. Ghana Water Company and all of that. But it's in our individual state, what are we doing such that people would desire to work with us? I mean, sometimes you have people come through interviews and they decline the offer. It's not because the money you are offering them is not enough, but they have seen something in your environment that doesn't resonate with them, or there's something in your culture, there's something in your operations that doesn't work with them. Let's say, for example, somebody realize that this business is not, or the owner is not a Christian, is the reason the person doesn't want to work with you, because that doesn't resonate with the person's beliefs or something. So the person will not want to work with you. But when you foster that excellence, that culture of excellence, you become an employer of choice. Your employee engagement, people naturally want to come to work. You know, what I think last 2 months we did some in-house training on why people choose to work with the HR Certification Center. Beautifully, we've had lower turnover rate. People don't leave, and we are grateful to God that when they come, they stay. They don't want to go. You know, and we're trying to look at why do people want to work with the HR Certification Center. Every day of their employment life, they walk through the door at 5 p.m. They have a decision to make whether to return the following day. And what we do as employers is that we try our possible best so that that desire to wake up from your bed and come to work is there. One, you must be concerned about the individual working in your organization, their welfare, their well being. The fact that they have work to do doesn't mean that they are engaged. You need to be sure that Amma says her interest or her future is geared towards this. Am I aligning her so that she's able to build her future? Sometimes people come to us at interview, you possibly interview them for an operations role. Then at the end of the day, you put them in marketing. That person will not be aligned. The person will not be engaged. They come to work because at the end of the month, they will earn salary, but they are not engaged. Let's be sure that we are training them, we are developing them towards their future. The interest is not just the employer, but the employee must also have that benefit. And then at the end of the day, you need to pay them well. You need to reward them, and you also need to recognize them. I mentioned that we thrive on ideas at the HR Certification Center. And so, if in the future we pick up your idea, because once you dump your idea in the idea bank, you have your name assigned to it. So when we pick that idea, we refine it, and we are working with it, we give credit to that employee. I mean, we make noise about it, that it's your idea that is bringing us this much revenue. And so we do that recognition and we celebrate ourselves. I mean, it's a human institution, a human environment. You want your people to love to come to work and give you that benefit. Now we look quickly at the best practices for sustaining a culture of excellence, and what do we do? What are we able to do so that we can sustain whatever culture of excellence that we are building over the period? The first and the key, possibly that will be the only one I'll speak about, is the fact that you must take customer feedback and reviews seriously. If you want to be a business of excellence, no matter how small your business is, customer feedback and excellence must be a thing for you. I've seen companies where the whole year there's no customer feedback form. The whole year there's no discussion around the customer's complaint. Some banks will put the suggestion box there for you to put your suggestions in it. As to whether they review it, as to whether they discuss it, I won't be able to tell. But for my business, what we do is that at the end of every 3 months, that's every cohort, we bring out the customers or the evaluation form. So you cannot exit our door after your 3 months interaction with us. You cannot exit our door without giving us your review. There's an evaluation form that everybody must fill. And we take those, we sit down to discuss what is the customer saying. Let me be frank, or let me be truthful. Not all the reviews, not all the feedbacks you are able to implement or work on, but majority of it, if it's geared towards one direction, you must be sure that that is what the customer wants. And so you sit down, take a look at it and see, if we do A, B, C, D as the customer is requesting, are we still able to maintain our business operation? Are we still able to foster where we are going? Are we able to deliver value for the stakeholders? If yes, please do it. And when you do it, let the customers know that they have spoken.